I am pleased to be your moderator for today's panel on the proposed Renaissance Academy. Professionally, I work at WVU. I have a dual role there. I'm the Assistant Vice President for Economic Innovation in the President's Office and an Assistant Dean for Strategic Initiatives at the John Chambers College of Business and Economics. But more importantly, for today's discussion, I'm a mom of 3 kids. I have 2 girls at MHS, and we just adore that school and all the educators there. And I have a little guy who's about to go into the kindergarten system. So I am deeply passionate about education. The educational system in this community is so important to me and my family. And I see the incredible opportunity that we have here in Mon County. But I'm acutely aware also of the economic development challenges we face as a community and a state in developing the workforce of the future. So a couple of statistics that keep me up at night as a workforce development, in my capacity of workforce development and economic development. This might surprise you. Do you guys know how many open jobs there are in the state right now? Take a guess. This is my educator and me, so I want audience participation here. 5,000 was one guess. 20,000? Any other guesses? 10,000. Okay, there are 29,000 open jobs right now. And so when you think about that, and you think about the employers that are coming to this state and educating our kids, like this is a huge number, and this is a big determinant of how we're going to grow as a state. When employers and companies think about, when employers and companies think about locating to a state, they think about their skilled labor force, and it's important or very important when they determine whether or not they're going to make an investment or not. The other scary stat is currently less than 46% of our high school graduates persist and matriculate to university or technical and community colleges. So our discussion today is timely. And to do this, we have incredible panelists that are going to share their thoughts on the Renaissance Academy. So just a quick briefer, the Renaissance Academy is a proposed new education and training academy focused on science, technology, engineering and math, and career technical education and college preparation. Contingent on voter approval on May 14, 2024, construction will start in 2025, and the Renaissance Academy will open to students at the beginning of 2027 to 2028 school year. Today, as I mentioned, we have an expert panel to discuss the Renaissance Academy and the potential opportunities that it will bring to our community. And I'm going to ask our panelists just to do a brief introduction of themselves. So Dr. Campbell, can we start with you and then we'll move down the line?
Sure. I'm Dr. Eddie Campbell. I'm the superintendent of schools here in Monongalia County.
I'm Summer Johnson. I'm a senior at MHS and MTech, and my program is building maintenance and operation.
And I'm Russ Rogerson. I'm president and CEO of the Morgantown Area Partnership, which is a group of 5 different nonprofits responsible for economic development in the community.
Good afternoon. I'm David Goldberg. I'm president and CEO of Mon Health System and executive vice president of Vandalia and a resident of the city of Morgantown in Monongalia County.
Good afternoon. I'm Brian Donnelly. I'm an architect and the project manager for the project. I'm with DLR Group. I'm also an educator. I teach architecture at Catholic University.
Good afternoon. My name is Vinay Badwar. I'm a physician and the executive chair of the WVU Heart and Vascular Institute, and here representing WVU Medicine and WVU, and a graduate of public schools.
Awesome. So as you can see, we've assembled quite an amazing group of experts from the student perspective, economic development, educators, workforce, employers, and the expertise that will bring the structure to life if it does move forward. So before we get started with questions, let's watch a quick video to give you some context. We're going to see a video about the Cherry Creek Innovation District. This school implemented innovation throughout all its grade levels, throughout its campus, and its campus is focused on career-based programs for students to explore, experiment, and celebrate pathways of learning in preparation for careers or college.
Once upon a time in Cherry Creek schools, everyone had their mindset on college, prepare the students for college. Within the last few years, we've realized maybe we ought to be preparing them for their career and realize that college is just one of many avenues to get there. Take a walk through the building and see how much glass there is. You can stand in one spot of the building, no matter where you are, you're going to see 5 different pathways, 5 different groups of kids working on their own trade. So you're looking into our infrastructure engineering pathway.
I really do enjoy working with my hands, and working here and actually getting to do work rather than sitting on a computer. Like, I feel more productive and I feel happier being here.
Even though I don't necessarily want to go into construction, you still get apprenticeships, internships, opportunities that can help you get into a good college or get hired after college. Without this school, I wouldn't have made these connections.
We praise work ethic here. We praise students pursuing employment. By doing so, not only is this helping the way we're educating our kids, but the way we're perceiving employment as a community.
Some additional context. This is, as I mentioned, Cherry Creek Innovation District. This gives you a flavoring of what we might see with the Renaissance Academy. So let's kick off the questions. And before I do, we have a pretty full agenda with questions directed at our panelists. But if you have questions at the end, we have note cards that you can fill out. And if time allows, we'll ask those questions now. If not, we'll respond to those via the website where all the Q&A is being addressed. But Dr. Campbell, let's start with you. We just saw a video of Cherry Creek Innovation District. Can you build off of what we just watched? Provide us with an overview of the proposed Renaissance Academy, the curriculum focused on both STEM and CTE, and how does it fit in with the broader educational landscape of our community?
Thank you, Liz. Thanks for leading us today as well. Give you a little bit of props moving forward. You know, when you watch that video, you know, the most impactful piece of that was the voice of those two students and the impact that the Cherry Creek Innovation Campus had on their learning. It really drives the point home for me when a young man says, "This place makes me happy," that he's happy to be in school. He's happy to be learning something that he is seriously interested in. And that's really the vision of the Renaissance Academy. It's not to replace what we currently do here in Monongalia County. Who can argue with the results that this school system produces year in and year out? We have excellent high schools. We have an excellent education system. Many of our educators are sitting in this room today. This is a supplement to what we're doing. This community, and you all know that, has extremely high expectations when it comes to the education of our young people. I don't think you'll find another school system in the state of West Virginia that demands more from its educational system. And in 2019, when we brought together the Comprehensive Educational Facilities Plan and said, what's next for Monongalia County schools? It was unanimous. It was overwhelming that we needed an educational facility that would focus on high-level STEM education and high-level career and technical education and combine those two things together. One, and a really a main purpose for that, we do STEM in Monongalia County. We have career technical education in Monongalia County, but we separate them. And in doing so, we create barriers for students. We create obstacles for students. We make students make unnecessary choices about their learning. We want students to drive their own learning and to be able to have opportunities to study things that they want to be engaged in. You know, we talk a lot about attendance, and one of the major factors in the country related to poor attendance is lack of student engagement. Students need to be engaged in their learning and be invested in what they're studying. And the beauty of a school like the Renaissance Academy is that students will be given that opportunity. And I think that's really how it fits. That's the vision. It's not to replace what we're doing. It's to enhance and to be future forward, future focused in the way that we deliver education to our students.
Thank you. I know that one of the most sought after programs is the Med Ed program, and there's a demand and a waiting list on that. So I want to direct my next question to David. One of the areas that we hear about workforce shortages is in healthcare, and not just nurses. How do you see this academy benefiting the healthcare institutions and the broader healthcare sector in our community?
Well, I want to thank you and thank everyone for inviting me today. You know, I've been privileged to work in different communities. A couple decades ago, I lived and worked in Loudoun County, where similar programs were put in place. Lived in Allegheny County, Pennsylvania, where you have similar programs in place. What did those programs do? They fostered growth. They brought job creation at our health systems to be able to find people to be a medical assistant, a pharmacy tech on the medical side plus others. And then we have infrastructure. We all need building engineers, people who can be electricians, people who can service our air conditioning units. All across, hospitals and health systems are like little cities. We need every position you can find, from finance to medical delivery to people who are supporting in the business office and supporting the patients all around. This academy is going to create jobs. This academy is going to be able to bring the opportunity to get early education, bring it forward. Both WVU Medicine, I'll let Dr. Badwar talk about it, as well as Mon Health are partnering already with Monongalia County Schools to get in early, to get those students and be introduced to healthcare careers, as well as others, so we have a pipeline of delivery for those positions, but also to keep people close to home. If we don't build our own workforce, we're not going to have a workforce to take care of us. So solidly believe that this is important, and I said a moment ago, I'm a resident here because I'm going to be paying taxes for the investments that we're talking about. And if we don't build today, we're not going to have it tomorrow. And I think any creative way we can to engage students, as Dr. Campbell said, any opportunity to engage future students, any opportunity to engage parents to support their students and their family members and open different pathways for success and open doors, then we're going to be looking at ourselves that generation later and said, what if?
Thank you. And you transitioned perfectly to my next question. Russ, in your role with the Morgantown Area Partnership, how does the organization view the establishment of this academy in terms of increasing economic development and workforce readiness in the community?
Thank you. Honestly, I'm not an expert on how to educate. I'm an expert on what the businesses need from the education system. And I spent a great deal of my 25 years in this business trying to connect the two together, because it's ultimately very critical. When I started out, it was, well, we need workforce, what's your unemployment rate? And if it was about 6 or 7%, they were happy because they didn't need skilled workers. Now, they want to know what the skill sets of the workers are, because workers today in the higher tech facilities need more than just the willingness to work. They need a good, solid background of technology and how to operate technology and how to think independently and plan and whatnot. So the student today that companies are looking for is vastly different than the student from 20 years ago. And I think that's ultimately the key here. And it used to be, well, how many people do you have coming out of the trades? You know, how many welders do you have? How many CNC operators do you have and whatnot? Now, you know, you're not getting so much of that as you need more of the generalist operator who knows a little bit about everything and knows how to put that all together and understand it. And so as this transformation has taken place, education's had to transform with it. And linking companies who are best people to tell you what their needs are with the educators who are dying to know what their needs are so they can meet them is I think where the secret sauce comes together, and that's how the how gets produced, right? And so workforce is by far in the top 2 or 3 reasons that people will locate their businesses into any community. It used to be cheap land, cheap utilities, and a high unemployment rate. Now, do you have the workforce? Because otherwise, why am I investing dollars into something that I'm not sure that can succeed in that location? So that's how important workforce is. It is the backbone of all industry and all business. And so our ability to produce that only enhances our chance of success now and moving forward.
Thank you. And I just received a note from someone watching through the live stream. They can't hear the panelists very well, so if you can lean in a little bit. that would be great. Or if there's a way to turn up the volume, okay. Thank you. Okay. So you talked about human capital, and, I love that term, secret sauce. Brian, if I could turn to you, as the architect who has experience in designing educational facilities such as this, what considerations were taken into account when designing the preliminary sketches for the Renaissance Academy, and how will it stand out as a real-world training environment?
Yeah, sure. Secret sauce is what we do, so I'm happy to follow that comment. This is a project that began as an idea. All good projects begin as an idea, and it wasn't necessarily an idea about a building. It was your idea. It was this community's idea about education. It was about opportunity. It was about the future of what Mon County would be for your students today. Our role in that was to sort of help bring that idea to sort of a physical form, and to sort of turn that idea into a real vision. And so the first thing we do with every project is we go to the community and we meet with the community leaders. So we had engagement sessions with community leaders, business leaders, stakeholders, industry partners, as well as with educators. And we also met with students from every high school and from MTech. And gain their insights in terms of what's important to them, what they think their future looks like, what's relevant to them. And what we came away with were a couple of principles about what this building needs to be. And one of them was it needs to be relevant and authentic to this place, to the business environment here, to the cultural environment here, and it needs to be as well agile. It needs to be able to change as that landscape changes, whether it's day to day or year to year. And so, and then the last thing I'll say is that with the students, one of the interesting things that we learned was that they really wanted to have agency. They really wanted to have choice, and the educators were supportive of that as well. And so I'll give you two examples of how that sort of looks when we go to design a building. One thing is, if you look at the plans, we sort of think of it a little bit as like a mixing bowl. Every component, every program that Dr. Campbell mentioned has its own place to be, and it has its own identity within that building. And that's part of that idea of agency, of being able to sort of see the choices, see the opportunities in front of you. But what's more important are the common spaces, the spaces that are shared. And those are spaces that become moments of collaboration. They become places for exposition or for demonstration, where industry partners can come and meet together, but also meet the students, meet with educators. So those common spaces are critically important. The second part of that is student agency, and the idea that there's a lot of transparency in this building. And I mean that physical transparency, glass, so that students can actually see from those common spaces into the program spaces. So a student, for example, who might be at Renaissance Academy to study health sciences may walk past the culinary arts program and suddenly recognize themselves in that, or recognize collaboration and ideas where they spark an idea where those the two things can be combined. So those ideas of transparency and mixing, those sort of casual sort of collisions of ideas, those are two really critical aspects of creating a place that's innovative and a place where students feel like they belong and that they have some choices.
Yeah, it really makes me think of a term like creative collisions.
Yeah.
Like bringing those spaces and entities and initiatives and efforts together. Dr. Badwar, what opportunities do you see for the Renaissance Academy to collaborate with WVU?
Well, that's a broad question, but I'll try to answer it precisely. Well, first of all, it's a pleasure being here and working with all of you. I guess I would couch my comments in three different areas. One is workforce investment, educational diversification and options, and then adaptation, as my colleague just started talking about. So as the largest employer of the state at this point, we have really an insatiable appetite, much like my colleague David Goldberg just mentioned, for hiring new individuals into the workforce for health sciences at every level, be it STEM straight to the workforce, or college preparatory and a pathway to higher learning, and even to the point of physician or above, administration, all of that. Our health systems are growing. Our state mandate is why we're all here. We're mission focused. And offering a diversified option for education for many of the individuals that we've recruited from around the country. These are not experts from West Virginia alone. These are people from every single state in the last 5 years we've recruited, and other countries who are looking for alternatives to their educational pathway that may or may not be culturally identical to what we are currently offering. And so having the ability to have that diversified option for education, I think, will be important. In fact, it's being asked for. Currently, of the many people we recruit weekly, we've occasionally lost one or two individuals that are looking for an alternative to education that may not be available. And finally, adaptation. So as we look at, as my colleague just noted, be it secret sauce or other kind of adjectives you would use, being able to flex one's educational pathway. If they start out on a certain pathway to a STEM-based trade type of aspect, being able to elevate them to a college pathway into higher learning early on, and how I believe that WVU and our health system could potentially partner is being able to provide them with direct access to some of the next careers that they could be witnessing, be it in the hospital, within the health system, in the operating room, other things to get them exposed to stimulate that type of learning and that experience and that drive for a career.
Thank you. And I know during some of the planning meetings early on, many of the educators that attended on behalf of WVU really saw an opportunity also to collaborate with curriculum development and, almost a learning lab. So I think there's a lot of opportunities on that front. Summer, this next question's for you, and I am so thrilled that you are here. It's so important to have your voice here. But, I know you've had incredible success at MTech and MHS. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience at MTech and how this has helped you pursue your job or the jobs that you're looking at?
I would say my experience at MTech is limitless. It gives you so much opportunities, so much workspace environment, from your peers to your actual instructors. It's just, it's an amazing place to be in. Every other day that I get to go, I'm excited for it. I can't wait to walk in that building. Everyone greets you. They're all smiling. There's a smile on their face. You learn a bunch of life skills, from soft skills to technical skills. Like I said earlier, I'm in the building maintenance program. My technical skills that I get to learn, it's a little bit of everything, from framing, from electrical work to plumbing. I learned water lines, stuff like that. I'd say the most soft skill that I've learned at MTech so far is how to deal with situations out in the real world, because they prepare you for that. They give you opportunities for that. And to go off what you said with job opportunities, today we actually had a job fair where 60 companies all around Morgantown, Clarksburg, they came. They're all different types of field associated with the opportunities at MTech. You go around, whatever you see fit, they give you opportunities, they tell you about the job, you give them your resume, and everything is just playing out from there.
Awesome. And I just want to connect to something that Dr. Campbell said, which you used the word, and then I also heard it in your voice, the excitement and the passion for what you're doing. And so thank you. I'm excited to see what you do next. Russ, I'm going to turn back to you just for a second. How do you envision partnering with the Academy to address some of the skills gap in the manufacturing sector specifically? And what opportunities do you see for students who graduate from this program?
Well, I think that connectivity, and that's kind of really what the partnership's about, connecting and collaborating, and I think that would be a great deal of help. And MTech does that. I've attended graduations, job fairs. We need more integration of the business community with the education community, so that and feedback from the students to really have the flexibility in programming to meet those needs. In all honesty, it used to be, you could say we need 30 welders. Today, the jobs of tomorrow are yet to find. So it's not like you go get a certificate and you walk into a business and you get a job. Having that diversity of skills and capabilities of adjusting and adapting to the skills needed for that particular organization is critical. So integrating business and education together, having those conversations, and continue that adaptation as the economy creates that adaptation. I bet you many of these in the medical field, you all were using technology that nobody could think about 10 years ago, even, right?
And they probably created a lot.
Yes.
Right. And I think that's kind of really the critical step there, is keeping those linkages so that in programs being able to evolve and not be a set of you do 1, 2, and 3, you're certified and go, and doing that and having a place where that can happen quite easily.
And Russ, my middle daughter amazed me this week. She said, "Mom, it's time for an internship," which I was so proud of, as a 15-year-old. Do you see opportunities for internship through this Renaissance Academy and partnership with local employers?
Well, I guarantee you the closer connected business is with education, the easier to identify opportunities to integrate. You heard from our healthcare professionals. They very much are interested in getting you in early and bringing you along with your skill set and education and experiences. Really, all businesses are. We talked a lot over the years in the past about apprenticeship programs. I think internship is really what it really is the bridging gap of America for getting people in the workplace and having that experience, so they can truly see whether or not that is a field or an activity that they enjoy doing. As we talked earlier, the happier you are, the better you are, and the more productive everyone is. So yes, I think internships need to be a large part of any program moving forward.
Thank you. So Dr. Campbell, we have a number of educators in the audience. What strategies will be in place to support teachers and staff at the Academy in delivering high-quality instruction and mentorship?
And Liz, that's a great question, because I know it's on the minds of our educators. This is significantly different from an instructional strategy standpoint than what folks are accustomed to seeing in our classrooms. We operate very traditional models with silos of differences from places to places. So we certainly anticipate the necessity of professional development for our educators that want to be a part of the Renaissance Academy. And I think that in itself is important. We want to open this opportunity for educators who want to be in this type of environment, who don't necessarily want to be the deliverer of information, but they want to be the facilitator of learning. And help students drive their learning. And so, we as an educational system, in conjunction with our higher education models, have to put that idea together so that we can support our educators in the classroom. The second component to that for me, and Russ has hit on this a couple of times. I remember, I don't know if Russ remembers this or not, but his first week on the job was about my second week on the job, I think. We actually met, and one of the things we talked about was, how do we bridge that gap? We both want it. Business and industry want it. We want it as an educational system. So how do we bridge that gap between the two so that we're actually doing what it is that both of us want? And we talked about the conversation between the two and how to integrate that. And so we really anticipate and really want to work directly with business partners, industry partners, to create curriculum, to use their expertise in our classrooms, to work in coordination and conjunction with our own educators. I see folks from Trilogy out here. There are things that in the IT industry that we won't have certified teachers for. For example, if it's cybersecurity we're talking about, there's not a certification, a teaching certification in West Virginia for cybersecurity. We've got to have some expertise from the field to come in and work with us to help deliver that. So if that looks like a model where we have an expert from Trilogy come in and work side by side with one of our IT people, what an excellent model to bridge that gap that we're looking for. And then the third piece to this that I really see, and we're starting to see it already, as we begin to go out and recruit educators, and I'm going to tell you, the days in Monongalia County of posting a high-level math high school job and getting 24 applicants are over. We're lucky now if we get 2 qualified applicants for a high school math job or a high school science job. That's scary. That's scary for a school system like ours. But what we're seeing as we go to some of these recruitment fairs and try to recruit teachers, and we talk about the Renaissance Academy and what that will look like for educators to be involved in and teach in, they're excited about it. They're like, can I teach there next year? Give me till 2027 and I might have a job for you that you can get in. But you can still come work in Monongalia County. We still need you. You know, that's really how I see us being able to staff and support our educators in an environment that's this new and really cutting edge for our own educators.
Wonderful. Thank you. David and Dr. Badwar, I'm going to co-direct this question to you. How do you see Mon Health, Vandalia Health, and WVU Medicine, how do you guys see yourselves expanding programs to prepare students to adapt to the evolving landscape of healthcare, and include specifically around emerging technologies and healthcare delivery modes?
Well, I think you heard what Vinay said a couple moments ago. Healthcare is evolving each and every day. The skills we need have to be evolutionary, and we have to be nimble. We want 300 summers to come into our organizations. We're building across the state, not only in buildings, but also in programs and clinical delivery. So we need to build the workforce of tomorrow. So an academy like this that brings people in that may not know what they want to be can come right out of that school and go right to work. And can go right to work and then work through that skill while they're in college, if that's the path they choose, or go on to Pierpont or a community technical educate. There's so many paths, but you have to start somewhere with opening the door and the dreams and the minds to get them into a conduit or a queue to keep moving forward. And this Renaissance Academy is going to do that.
Yeah, I'll just echo those comments. I think, being able to offer a wide range of access points to expose, that's currently not available. And if the Renaissance Academy is the pathway to so do this, I think it's incumbent upon us as health systems to be able to embrace the opportunity. It's not a burden, it's an opportunity, because time flies quickly. From high school to workforce is a flash of minutes in the grand scheme of things. And so we really want to be embracing of all the bright minds, and wherever they fall, so there's no rank order of things like that, as David just said, is if people desire to go right into the workforce and enter into a job in a certain level of healthcare, or use this as a stepping stone, I like his analogy, and then, hey, I want to do more. They're already exposed. Then go back, get higher education, college education, advanced college education, and come back at a different level. So co-investment in the workforce, I think, is the real key here.
And if I may one comment, Vinay, you said that so well. Healthcare isn't just delivering medicine. If you look at the portfolio of WVU Medicine, with the technology arm, the pharmacy, home health care, the IT infrastructure we have to build each and every day, we're delivering care every day. Mon Health, Vandalia, all of us, we are literally infrastructure companies. So we're dealing with patient lives. We're building, we're sustaining physical plant, we're building technology, we're servicing technology to service the community in healthcare. We need 300 summers to be out there to fill those roles, whether it be in the technological area, computer coders, cyber, that was mentioned a moment ago. We feed our patients. We need people to cook. It is everything you're going to come out here, we need to hire dozens and more. So anything you can do to build the pipeline, We're the 2 largest employers in the state. We're going to hire everybody,
And let me drill down on that. You talked about the technical skills. How about soft skills?
without a doubt. You
Yeah.
heard that a moment ago. It's one to teach you the skill. It's the other to be able to be adaptable in your environment to keep growing with it. We all build career ladders each and every day, whether you're a clinician or a non-clinician. You could come in today to start as a line cook. You could be running that department. You can be building more over time. So the soft skill is, how do I come into an environment and learn from what I learned in school, but then also learn it in the environment I'm in, and then take that and make that the opportunity to grow and/or bring others in to help grow them with you. That's what we need to do. And, you know, the open mind of education is so key that this program is not just about the science aspect of it, but it's also facilitating other conduits for people to be comfortable to advance themselves.
Thank you. Well, the next question, and Dr. Badwar touched upon this, but, you know, you all lead organizations that require, many of you require an advanced workforce. Maybe, David, you can comment on this.
Yeah.
What role will the Renaissance Academy play in recruiting talent to the region?
Well, I think Vinay said it well. I mean, we've lost some recruits who might want to move to Monongalia County because some of the other programs aren't available for them. I have a friend of mine who moved literally here from Tennessee because they have a child on the spectrum and couldn't get those services where their child was and came here because of what Monongalia County and the schools are offering. We need to offer different pathways for students, for families to raise their families. Not everyone's going to go to college. We said that well, and maybe that's okay. But they are going to be productive in the workforce. And we believe through this program and others, these are just going to be ways to kind of develop our community. Everyone's used to my shtick. I say there's 4-legged stool you need for a thriving community. You have to have a really good educational system. You have to have really good infrastructure, a good tax base to be able to support all this, and really good health care. If you don't have those 4 things, your community's not going to surge. And this is going to be part of 2, if not 3, of those 4-legged schools.
Does anyone else want to offer comment on that?
Well, I just kind of want to tag on a little bit. First of all, you heard how many job openings we have in the state. I won't put you on the spot. I know there's a couple thousand between you easily currently right now. So employers understand the value of the employee today more than ever. And so they're investing in these people. It's not just, hey, here's a job, I'm going to pay you and make sure you do it right. It's truly an investment because they know the more that they can hold on to those people and be a place where they can grow into whoever they want to be in the future. Everybody benefits. And I will also say one of the strengths in the state of West Virginia is once you do get an employee, they tend to stay. That is one of our strong points if we're out recruiting companies. But they only stay when the company is nurturing that person as well. So I think that's where that's a great linkage, if you will, of getting a student on the right foot with that expectation. They enter a company, and then wherever their likes and desires and interests grow into, they have room to do that.
Thank you. So Brian, I'm going to go back to you, and you've been part of other designs of similar facilities, like the proposed Renaissance Academy. Can you talk a little bit about how it's impacted other communities and just if you have any stories on that front?
Yeah, sure. Undoubtedly, facilities like this have an impact. And there are some things I think that are probably easier to measure. Statistically, students who focus on STEM or CTE in high school have higher graduation rates. If they then go on to into the workforce, they have a higher chance of getting a job. After 8 years in the workforce, they will typically have higher pay than their peers. Those who go on to college statistically are more likely to finish a 4-year or 2-year degree on time, or even within those 8 years. So those are the sort of global, easily measured things. I think that there are things that are less easy to measure. I'll use Cherry Creek Innovation Center as an example, just for the building's sake alone, the impact of that building in that community, it's not just used as a school, it's also used as, by the industry partners as a place for conferences, a place for seminars, for lectures, places to bring the whole community together. They use it for career fairs as well, whether it's specifically for the students of the Cherry Creek Innovation Center or for the larger community at large. That building has become sort of the place that's thought of as being the engine of workforce preparedness. Even local industries will use that as the backdrop for announcing new initiatives, and whether it's a new plant that they're building or a new program that they're launching. And government and community leaders do the same. It's really become a model. It's become a sort of symbol for innovation and workplace preparedness. And then there's the level of that's a little more intimate at the level of the student. And I'll use Cherry Creek as an example. Their construction technology program every year builds tiny homes. And they build 5 or 6 of these tiny homes every year. And then they donate those to a nonprofit who is working with the city to address homelessness. And so those tiny homes are used by individuals who are at risk or who are homeless as transitional housing. And so you can just sort of imagine the impact that has on those individuals who have a roof over their head, maybe for the first time in a while. And then the impact on the students. They didn't just learn the skills and the trades of how to build a home. They contributed to their community. And they'll have that with them forever. So those are the kinds of impacts that you see. And I just need to say one more thing about a student that we met. I think it was at Morgantown High School who shared with us sort of the career pathway he would take. And he wanted to study business administration, but he also wanted to study health sciences, and he wanted to study hospitality. And then after he went away to college, he wanted to come back and he wanted to take your jobs.
He's hired.
He wanted to run the hospital. So their kids out there they're hungry, they're creative, and they get these connections. The best we can do is sort of give them the opportunity to make it.
But if I can add to that, isn't that novel where we are in 2024? When I came here in 1990, I had one path. I wasn't going to go into healthcare. But I went in one path. This is what you did. You went to school, you got your degree, you got a job. Now, students have to think 2 or 3 steps ahead. How do I make myself marketable and learn it? So if you can go to a tech school like this, and you can learn some of the building trades, maybe that will get you an advantage if you go for a college and a college degree, to eventually be working in a company, in a business, or a managerial role. But I learned it, I understand the skills, and now it's bringing me to a next level. Some of us early on didn't think that way. It was you just got your baccalaureate degree in finance and got a finance job. But did you understand the business? You're going to learn the business from around. You could be running your own company one day, learning how to build it, translate it with people, and then all of a sudden you have another pathway to be even more successful.
Yeah, I think it really, to that point, the idea of seeding lifelong learning and upskilling is something that might be a product of this type of educational facility. Before I ask my next question, for those that came in late, if you have any questions, Teresa's got note cards, so if you just put up your hand, she can hand those out, and that's how we'll facilitate the questions at the end of the session. But Summer, let's go back to you. I know when we first met, we had a lovely conversation, and we were talking through your experience at MTech and MHS and how positive everything was. But the one thing that you brought up that stuck with me, being a daughter or mother of 2 daughters, was that you'd like to see more females enroll in programs like MTech. What do you think the Renaissance Academy might do to help facilitate this?
Well, I've seen a lot of girls at MTech, but it's more or less the industrial arts programs. We have a total of 6 currently at MTech, and there is only 4 out of the entire 6 classes are girls, including me. I think it's more or less that the women in Morgantown are scared because it's a men's workforce, but me plus those 3 are here to change it because I can work circles around the boys in my class. Just saying. But I also think with this Renaissance Academy, with the STEM program and the CTE you guys are putting in, it'll give more opportunities for the kids at MHS, UHS, and Clay Battelle, because I know they like some people take honor stuff, like honors math, honors science, stuff like that. I think this would advance them more in their career path that they want to choose, because MTech has a lot to offer, but I think the Renaissance would offer more, because it's not, the focus is not just on you. You're not competing with anyone. You're not showing anything off or anything. You're there to learn what you want to learn, and you're there at your own pace.
You know, you said something that made me think of my daughters. They only interact with students from other schools in athletic competitions, so either on the lacrosse field or in track. Dr. Campbell, do you want to talk a little bit about that, how the schools might, you know, how there's going to be a blending from that perspective?
Absolutely, and that really was very important when we started talking about the concept of the Renaissance Academy. This community is really very sold on their home schools. There is community tradition that is wrapped around, and if I've heard it once, I've heard it 100 times. And people have convinced me, we don't need a fourth high school in Monongalia County. The three that we have serve the purpose that they were designed for. They're excellent. And we want our kids to be able to maintain those connections with their home school. And so the beauty of the Renaissance Academy, as I said earlier, is it's just an extension of what we're doing in those three schools. And so the University High School football player is still going to play football for University High School. The student that's in the Mohegan band is still going to be in the marching band at Morgantown High School. The drama student at Clay Battelle is still going to participate in those extracurricular activities at their home school. This is just an extension of what we will be doing and we're currently doing in our school. So it's very similar in model to MTech from that standpoint. With as Summer pointed out, we're adding that additional piece of the high-level STEM education to try to eliminate some of those barriers that we see kids have. Lots of kids have to choose, and sometimes the choices that they have to make are really not fair to them. You know, we want to be able to give our kids every opportunity and open every door possible, and they won't have to leave their identity of their home high school to be able to do that with the fruition of the Renaissance Academy.
Yeah, I love that idea. You know, you think about how you build your network through universities and other, you know, the workplace and whatnot. So this starts a lot earlier. You're not just, you're tied to your home school. You identify as a Mohegan or a Hawk or whatnot, but it expands your network. And so I love that component of it. And, you know, I just want to go back to Summer. Summer, I just love what you said about, you know, working circles around things. I saw the pride in your mom's face there. And so we just, you know, again, to echo, I think, what David said, I don't know if it was 300 or 500, we need more of you. And so, Russ, on that note, I want to turn back to you about, you know, human capital and talent attraction. What role do you see the Academy playing in attracting new businesses and new investment to our community?
Well, first of all, when you're recruiting companies, you talk about a number of things. And when they have questions, you know, it's easy for me to sit and just spout out numbers. But what they really are looking for is at the community and at the people in the community to reinforce that we are truly the kind of place that they want to bring their families to, that there's going to be producing, you know, the workforce that is built for success. And you do that through taking them and introducing the people like on this panel, for example, and they have those level of conversations and they see that, you know, we are committed to education, we are committed to our students and our residents, and that they're going to benefit not only from an employer standpoint, but from a livability standpoint. And those are key factors. That's key for them to recruit. These folks are recruiting from all over the globe. And so they're not only competing, they want to go to Mon Health or WVU Medicine, do they want to live in Morgantown or do you want to live in Tucson? And so that's when the whole community makes a difference to all recruiting aspects of it. That's when people want to move here because we have the work base, the jobs are here, the quality of life is here. The future of their family is here. And so it's a complete package. And education's a key component of that package.
So that's the end of my formal questions. We had a couple submitted in advance, and so I'm going to get to those. So if there are any other ones, I'll invite Teresa to give me the cue card. But for the educators in the room, I know attendance is an issue for students, right? I see smiles and nods. Dr. Campbell, especially around, I guess this is directed to you because you brought up the idea of excitement. What is the attendance rate at a facility like MTech, and how do you see, the Renaissance Academy, perpetuating this or facilitating similar attendance rates?
And it's a great question, because attendance is a national issue for educators, especially in light of our COVID years. We in Monongalia County really have made a concerted deep dive into improving attendance. If they're not in our classrooms, we're going to have a tough time educating them. We're going to have a tough time preparing them for the workforce. And I think the young man in the Cherry Creek video says it better than I'll ever be able to say it, and that is that he's excited to be there. I'll bet Summer doesn't miss school very often. I can tell you MTech's attendance rate is higher. It is higher than our other three high schools' attendance rates. Now, we have pretty good attendance rates in comparison to schools across the state. We need to get better. We're not where we want to be from an attendance standpoint. But when you look at why, when you ask the how does an MTech, how does a Cherry Creek have a 99% attendance rate daily? The answer is student engagement. They're there because they want to be there. You can hear it in Summer's voice. She's excited to get up in the morning and go to school. Now, I don't know if she's that excited about Morgantown High School. She never said that, but I know it's a great school,
I think people
too.
would disagree in the audience, but yes, there she would.
But I can tell you, those kids, they get up and they go to MTech, and I was over there today for the job fair, and they love being in that facility, and it's because the opportunities that they're provided with there, and it's the opportunities to do the things that they enjoy the most about school. Our best and brightest are even some of our biggest attendance issues because they're not engaged in what their learning is. They know that they can get an A. They know how to play the game in school to get good grades. But we want them engaged in their learning. And so in this type of environment, I think the proof is in the pudding. You heard it in the video. You heard it sitting next to me. This is the type of learning environment that I want to be in as a student. And we as a school system need to be able to provide that for them.
Great, thank you. The other question that was submitted in advance was around the integration of the Renaissance Academy into the community for community events. So I'll start with Dr. Campbell, but I'll invite everyone to offer their thoughts. How do you think the facility will be integrated into the community, and how the community can use the facility?
It's a great question as well, and I'm going to be brief so that other folks can chime in on how they think it would be useful, because we're certainly open to those suggestions. This is not just a school for daytime. We're going to have adult education programs here. I have conversations with the governor's office about possibly bringing governors' academies here, which are currently spread all over the state. But wouldn't that be wonderful to host all of the governor's academies here at the Renaissance Academy during the summertime? To have summer programs available, to have this available for industry partners, to have events in the evenings, on weekends. We know the investment that this community would be making with the Renaissance Academy, and it needs to be a community facility. Our schools are community schools now. I mean, the community uses our schools for all types of things. But I see this really as a really embedded fixture in the community, that industry partners, business partners, our parents, any of our organizations will be able to take advantage of.
And I actually ran one of the governor's schools for entrepreneurship. And for those in the audience that might not be familiar with the governor's schools, those are incredible opportunities for students to do career exploration, experiential learning, showcasing of skills, bringing industry to partners. So that is, I think, a great vision for the facility there. Some of those questions for you, and then I'm going to kind of warn the panel that I'm going to ask you for one final thought down the row as we wrap up. But Summer, what kinds of things would you have wished that you had that you didn't have at MTech? Are there things that you would like to see exist within the Renaissance Academy?
Honestly, no. I got every opportunity that I could at MTech, from competing in Skills USA to going on quote-unquote field trips for your class. I know in my class we went to FCX. We built a container ship that it reduces waste for their facilities because they ship everywhere. We won first place last year for that. It gives you so many opportunities. With those opportunities, you can also add them to your resume, which helps you get a better job in that career path that you want to. Honestly, I wouldn't add anything to MTech because you get, with your class, you get all the opportunities that you can. There are some things that can be tweaked, like, I mean, it's small things, it don't really matter. But I honestly think this Renaissance Academy is going to be great for Morgantown because I know a lot of people that wanted to go to MTech but couldn't because of the classes that they offer. But you guys are adding STEM plus CTEs and all that into that, so I honestly think that would be great for Morgantown.
Thank you, Summer. Dr. Campbell, I don't know if you want to build on that or if you want to offer a final thought, but I'm going to start with you.
All right. Really, I think what we're trying to do here is respond to, in 2019, what our community said we needed as an educational system in Monongalia County. And what that call for action was to create a learning environment for our students that was going to put them in the best position possible moving forward into the future, to be forward thinking, to be cutting edge in the delivery model of what we bring our students. You know, I mentioned earlier the expectations and the demands from this community on our education system. And the Renaissance Academy is the evolution of those demands and of those expectations. And somebody said that to me earlier, you know, in a conversation I had a couple weeks ago, and they said, you know, this is really not about whether it passes or whether it doesn't pass. It's about what happens if we don't get it. What happens to our educational system and what we can offer our students moving forward into the future.
Summer, final thoughts on the Renaissance Academy?
I honestly think it's the best thing to add to Morgantown. Like I said earlier, there's opportunities that the Renaissance offers that other high schools or MTech can't offer. I think it's the right path to go, and honestly, I say build it.
And you might build it
I
for
can
us,
help. I
right?
You might be building it.
Russ?
That's a tough one to follow.
I know, I didn't mean to sit you there, but
No, I just think the key here is evolution. We just got to continue to evolve as a community, as educators, as businesses, you know, to continue to meet the challenges of the future and making this the place that we all know and love as a place to work, live, and play. So I applaud the school system for taking on this task and really trying to innovate education for our community, and so I'm appreciative of that.
thank you. David?
Thanks for the opportunity. If we don't build this, we're not going to have more Summers who are going to continue to find opportunities for us to find ways in the workforce. If we don't build programs like this for the traditional and the non-traditional student to find their way future and engage them, then we're going to not be able to move our society forward. We're not going to be able to create jobs, keep people close to home. fulfill not only the healthcare businesses, the Hope Gas that moved here, the Mountaintop Beverage that moved here, others that are on slate that need technology, laborers, healthcare, you name it. If we don't have these ways to train the workforce, we're not going to be attractive, and we're going to step backwards.
Brian?
Yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure to work on this project for a lot of different reasons, but mostly about what you're hearing today. That idea of being forward-thinking, the idea of innovating, of looking to the future of education and trying to lead the way, trying to be on the cutting edge, is everything that I'm an architect for, the reason I'm an architect. I think that it's impossible to overstate, though, that one of the key features of this is the idea that you're bringing all of these programs, all of these, different disparate sort of career skills together in one place and making those opportunities visible to the students. And that ability to sort of understand the sort of broad diversity of career choices in front of them, but then also to make those creative combinations that we may not even be thinking about. How can advanced manufacturing and health sciences create the next crutch? There are things like that we're not even thinking about yet. And your students will, because they have the opportunity to make these connections and sort of see all this stuff in one place. I think it's a great testament to sort of your forward-thinking point of view.
Thank you. And Dr. Badwar?
Well, just reflecting in the several years that I've been here, I think in the last 5 alone, there's been so much innovation, both in healthcare, industry, et cetera. It's not the Morgantown that it was even 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing what we know, it's not going to be the same Morgantown 5 years from now. In fact, this is now available information. We have health systems traveling from around the world to come and observe some of the innovative things that we're doing in Morgantown at WVU Medicine, be it robotics or what have you. And we have in front of us an opportunity to incubate the minds of future leaders, future innovators. All you need is access, and be it through the Renaissance Academy or any other response to the call to action that the public and the teachers and the students of this fine community have asked for. This is our opportunity to help evolve that, and it's a wonderful time for Morgantown and for the state.
Well, thank you for that vision of the Morgantown of 5 years from now, because I think that's something that we need to keep in mind. So just a couple things to close. Just remind you that there is a website, the Renaissance Academy. There's a Q&A section on there. So if you have additional questions or you just want to follow the conversation, that's available. There are pamphlets on the way out if you'd like to review those. Reminder to vote on the 14th. And I want to thank the panel. You guys have been wonderful. Thank you, Summer, especially. So let's just give them a round of applause, and thank you for coming today. All done? Good. All done. We're dismissed.
Where's the bell?